Hi friends, in today's class I will discuss an important regulation by the Security Exchange Board of India on initial public offerings. So, SEBI regulation on this IPOs, initial public offerings. So, what is this initial public offering and why SEBI has put a regulation on these initial public offerings now? See, this IPO means, again in IPO there are two different types of IPOs are there. One is fresh IPO, and the second one is the offer for sale. Second one is offer for sale. So, first one is fresh IPO, second one is offer for sale. So, what is this IPO and what is fresh IPO and what is for offer for sale? See, if you take a company, if this company want to have a more capital, suppose the company's existing capital is, just assume 1 crore. Suppose it want to widen its capital to another 1 crore, then they will issue new shares, and this issuing of new shares we will call it as this IPO. That means we are giving the shares, newly to the new investor, so that the capital base of a company is enhanced or increased. Now, there is another IPO called offer for sale. Means here what we are doing is, in this offer for sale, the existing shareholders, that means the majority shareholders, they wanted to sell away a part of that share to the new people. They can do it through the stock market, through the secondary market, but the point is, here they are the owners, and for these owners there is a window. That window is the offer for sale, because these are not actually the owner, in the sense I can say it as a promoter. That means the promoter himself want to sell away his share to some of the people. So that is the reason why what they will do is, promoter have an option to sell his existing shares to the people through this public announcement, that we call it as offer for sale. But anyhow, either to collect more amount of new investments, that brings the fresh investors, that brings fresh capital, that is one IPO. And second one is, the promoter wanted to reduce its stake and they wanted to transfer ownership. In that way also they can go for this offer for sale. From that also they can, in that way also they can bring new investors and bring a capital which may not be extra capital, but only to balance the existing capital. So these are the two things. Okay, if this is IPO, fresh IPO or offer for sale, why you need to regulate it and why SEBI need to regulate it? Anyway, SEBI is an organization, deals all with these capital and secondary market issues. SEBI will regulate. The point is, why SEBI want to regulate on this IPO at present? Because now the stock market across the world witnessing a boom in this IPO offerings. Now the stock market across the world, they are witnessing an IPO boom. That means most of the people now want to invest in the stock market. That too, they are interested in investing the fresh investments. That means the company which is going for an IPO, on that they wanted to invest. And recently some of the latest startups like Zomato has also went for this IPO. And in this IPO, lot of people are trying to invest. That boom is there. And companies are raising, now the companies are raising huge amount of capital. companies are raising huge amount of capital through this IPO. So the companies are raising huge amount of capital through these IPOs. In India alone, around 1 lakh crore rupees of money has raised. In India alone, 1 lakh crore rupees of money is raised. The point is, if such a boom is there, if the people are ready to invest and if the companies are able to collect, then there is a chance for the overvaluation of the share value, or the overvaluation of the shares may happen. Because he wanted to issue a share for the 100 rupees, when he thinks that the demand for the share is very high, then immediately he will make it 1000 rupees, and you don't know whether you can sustain this 1000 rupees value in the coming period or not. If they don't sustain, then it is a loss to the investors who are invested in this. So this chasing of stocks may lead to the overvalue of the price of the stock. It may lead to the overvaluation of the price of a stock. Now, many companies, that means new companies, they want to collect more and more amount of money through this IPO because people are ready to invest in this. Now the point is, why people will invest in this IPO? Because this is a company having a good record, they are doing a successful business and they want to expand their business. That is why they need a more capital. And if we invest in this company and this company is performing well, in future also this company performs well, that is the reason why we are investing. But the point is, when you are investing in this IPO, or when the company went for an IPO, they have to divulge all the information, what is their business plan, what they are going to do, and how much amount of money they are going to collect, and what they are going to do with that amount of money. This is necessary, because if the company who is going for an IPO, if they don't divulge the information, how can the people know that with this money what they are going to do? Because we believe like, okay, this company manager or this company management is running well, wherever they will invest our money, they will earn the return. That is what our idea. But they must divulge the information, what they are going to do, how they are going to do. That information is not available, then it is very difficult for the investor to take a right judgment as far as the investment is concerned. So that information must be divulged. But unfortunately, some of the companies are not disclosing the full information. And that too, after collecting the money from the public through this IPO, they are diverting these funds for the different purposes. So this has two problems. One is, the chasing of a stock may lead to the overvaluation. Second one is, they may divert the funds for different purposes. In both the cases, it is loss to the retail investors. So in order to protect the interest of the retail investors, SEBI has come up with a detailed rules and regulations on this IPO recently. Now what are the regulations that SEBI has come up with? Now I will try to explain those regulations. See, first one is the companies will not be allowed to use more than 35% of the money that they collect through IPOs to fund the purchase of other business unless they offer a sufficient details. Suppose I collected 100 rupees through an IPO. In this, I should not spend more than 35%, that means more than 35 rupees for other businesses. So if you want to fund this money for the other businesses, you can use, but only up to 35 rupees only you can use. Remaining money you have to use in the business in which you are. You are not supposed to divert it. But if you divulge the information that, okay, I am a company manufacturing the mobile phones, but now I am going to start a new company, that is something, a laptop making company. So please subscribe the capital. If you divulge that information, it's fine, but without divulging, you can't divert the most of the resources, and that to the limit they put more than 35%. You should not divert for the other businesses. So this is one important regulation that has placed on this IPOs by the SEBI recently. Second one. Promoter with a stake of over 20% in a company cannot sell more than half of their stake in an IPO. See, I said the offer for sale is there. That means in offer for sale, the existing promoter want to sell away his own shares. Now, what is the problem is, when there is a IPO boom is there, people are ready to invest in IPO. People can go to any extent to invest in IPO. Now, by considering this as a chance, what the promoters are doing is, they wanted to sell it away at a higher prices than what it originally had, because the boom is there. So, suppose let us take a company in that I am a owner, I am one of the owner. Just I assume I own 30% of the shares of the company. My shares of a company, just assume it is 100 rupees. But now there is a boom. Because of this, now there is a boom, and because of this boom, now this 100 has become 1000 rupees. How then 100 has become 1000 rupees? Now I am trying to sell my shares at the 1000 rupees. It is something wrong, because 1000 rupees may not sustain over a period of time. They may not sustain. So that is the reason why now this is considered by the promoter as an opportunity to sell away their shares at the higher prices than what it warranted. Now SEBI has said like, okay, a promoter with a stake of over 20%. So those who are having a stake in the 20% or more, they should not sell not more than half of their share in this IPO. That means in this offer for sale, the promoters who are having a share of 20% or more than 20%, they should not sell their own stake, more than half of their stake, through this IPO. So this is one condition that they have placed. So one condition is whatever the money that you have collected from the company, more than 35%, you should not divert it to the other business. Second one is, the promoter who is owning a share of 20 or more than 20%, they should not sell the more than half of the stake in this IPO route now. So more than half of the stake in the IPO route. So this is one aspect. So the promoter cannot sell more than half of its stake, even if he is having a 20% of the stake. So they cannot take advantage of this boom, because if they take advantage of this boom, the retail investors who are going to invest in this will suffer. So that is a second regulation that they have put. Third one, there is an investor called anchor investor. So anchor investors will not be able to sell more than half of their shares before 90 days from the date of IPO. So these anchor investors means generally there are some institutional investors. See, in the investment process, like a person, you and me can invest, we are the retail investors. But there are some investors like banks, mutual funds, other financial institutions, they invest in a huge amount of money. And earlier the point is, once they invested, within the 30 days they can take away their money. That means they can sell that shares to other people and they can get that money back. But here they have put a condition of 90 days instead of 30 days. That means now you cannot simply sell, you cannot simply purchase and you cannot simply sell. You have to retain it for 90 days because the market is volatile. There is a boom and the prices are rocketing. That means the prices of stock is rocketing. So it's not an appropriate time where you can sell it at a time at a lesser time like 30 days. So the thing is, they said like, okay, until 90 days the institutional investors like banks or other financial institution, we call it as anchor investor, they will not be able to sell more than half of their, not full but more than half of their that means less than half of the thing they can do it, but more than half of their before 90 days from the date of IPO against the current stipulation of 30 days. Again a current stipulation of 30 days. Next, one more regulations they have made is the price band of an IPO. The price band of an IPO. That means whenever you are issuing an IPO, there is a band of price. That means what is the minimum price and what is the maximum price, the difference between minimum and maximum price. So the price band of an IPO should be set in such a way that the ceiling price is at least of the 105% of the floor price. Floor in the sense minimum price, this is the maximum price. Now what we are saying is the ceiling price should be at least 105 percentage of the base price. That means it must be 1.05 into x or otherwise I can write 1.05x. So the ceiling price must be 1.05 of x at least. That means it should not be lesser than this. Why actually they have put this regulation? Because whenever we are going for an IPO, there are two type of issues are there. One is fixed price issue, FPI. Second one is book built issue. Fixed price issue means I am giving the shares at all same price, at a fixed price. Book built issue means in this book built issue the price will vary with a band. Now if it is a fixed price issue, it comes with lot of regulations. Even retailers can easily subscribe to this, and it comes with a lot of regulation. But the point is, if you use FPI, that means fixed price issue, you need to follow all these regulations. But if you use this book built with a band, no, you no need to follow the regulation. But what these companies are doing is, now just assume I am giving a raw number, 100 rupees is a base, that means a base, ceiling price is just 100.5, that means 100 rupees 50 paise. With this band, they consider themselves as a BBI, and by bypassing all these regulations, now they are issuing it. But actually it looks like a band, but it is almost a fixed price. But you want to bypass all that regulation, so you are going with this BBI model. But they said nothing doing. If you are fixing a band, minimum band should be like this. Otherwise, just go for a fixed thing. So this is one more aspect that they have placed. So these are the 4 different regulations that SEBI has put on this IPO, because the IPO boom is increasing. Now the point is whether these regulations will it really helps. Actually the point is these regulations are to protect the retail investors. Because you don't know what will happen to this. Because if tomorrow market fails, no, all these retail investors, that middle class people, will lose the money. They are not institutional investors. If they lose money or if they get any loss, then institutional investors can compensate it from other sources. But these middle class people, they cannot. Next, one more thing is, but on the other hand, it creates the hindrance in the rising of fresh capital by the companies. Yes, now the companies want to raise the capital, but because of all these restrictions, there may be some sort of hindrance in creating this fresh capital access program. Next, now the flexibility of business conditions we are changing. That means earlier for the anchor investors it was only 30 days, but now we are make it 90, and half of the capital you should not, half of the thing you should not sell, within 90 days you are saying. And one more thing for the already the promoters, if you are owning more than 20%, you should not sell more than half. So that means this will create some problems in the flexibility of business conditions. Flexibility of business conditions. But one more thing is this narrow band, whatever they are fixing, because of this narrow band, they may not create any problem, but the companies generally the companies will avoid this overvaluation or undervaluation of the shares. Normally they will try to sell it at a fixed price because it may affect their own business sentiment. So that aspect may not be a big problem, but whereas when it comes to these 2 points, whether it is fresh capital and flexibility of the business conditions, this is going to affect. Okay. So the point you need to understand is, whenever there is an extraordinary conditions whenever you will experience an extraordinary condition, then the regulator will take an extraordinary decisions also. So this IPO boom and stock market boom is happening over a period of time. That means since once we have started recovering from the pandemic, but some of the people don't know the reason why people are so interested in the stock market and all. But anyhow, this is not a good development to gain such a momentum within such a short period of time. That is the reason why regulator has imposed some condition. Just try to remember these conditions, use it appropriately whenever and wherever it is necessary. You may not get the direct question, but when it comes to the regulation of the stock market and protecting the minority investors and protecting the retail investors during the boom period, protecting the retailers from the volatile conditions. So at that point of time, what type of decisions a regulator can take, you will get from this. Okay. So this is something about the recently published or recently announced SEBI regulations on this initial public offerings. Thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.